Oh, test. Alrighty, guys. Good evening. Happy fucking Friday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening so far, guys. Tonight we're going to be doing more of the OW2s. Good. Good evening, Athens. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful evening. Start to the weekend. Oh, yeah. Good. Got some coffee brewing here, guys. We're going to take a look at the tubes here. We took a look at the new Arrow information. Mainly the big deal wasn't the fact that Arrow website came on. There's another person that's being put above the guy that's running Arrow right now, and she's actually be interested in getting stuff to the public, which is phenomenal, and has the clearance to do so. So we may actually get some interesting information that's coming out in coming weeks, days. Should be pretty good, guys. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening, though. Got my water. That's fine. Blue Beetle pitch meeting. Oh, yeah? Can't wait. What a lightsaber would really do to you. We talked about, guys, when Obi-Wan came out and Reva got stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber and she was fine. And she walked it off and continued to have a fight later on. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that for a decent bit of time. It's one of the reasons Obi-Wan actually is a really terrible series. Mainly something to do with getting stabbed with a sun and then you being perfectly... Like, boil your inside... Boil? Fry? What would it do? It literally incinerate your insides, and she just, like, walks it off. Yeah, crazy. Starfield gameplay. We will be playing Starfield on the 6th, 5th, 6th, one of those days, for $10. Guys. That's coming. It's coming, guys. $68 CPUs. Kind of interested in taking a look at this too, simply because it seems interesting. It's like it's a to-do rather than something you'd expect. Got my coffee brewing, guys. Ahsoka's a massive ratings failure. It's literally feminism Star Wars. It is like if you got feminists to make Star Wars for other feminists, you'd have Ahsoka. That's basically what it is. After Hours of podcast. I kind of feel like whenever you have like a legitimate podcast, you need to have a little desk just in front of you. Skin. Love skin. Beetle pitch meeting should be good. Starfield GPU benchmark comparison, NVIDIA and AMD. Actually curious about that too. Oh, there's a lot of good stuff, guys. A lot of good stuff. Let me get my coffee here 1 second. Alrighty. Good. Alright, let's take a peek here. Oh my god, lots of good things. I think I actually want to take a look at the CPU benchmark extravaganza. It's a little bit longer. Maybe we'll only watch half of it and split it up. Okay. Where was that? That actually looked pretty good. Not really, like purely from an academic standpoint, not really from anything that has meaning. There you go. Or, schemazing. There it is.
Okay, fine. We're doing the sample size test. We have 68 CPUs we're testing today.
Oh my god, something meaningful.
Because on January 25th, 16 minutes after it was posted, I screenshotted this comment on a CPU review. It says, not including multiple units of CPUs you are testing, all caps, is scientifically incorrect. Okay, Greg, all caps is...
When was this?
It says 68 CPUs we're testing today because on January 25th, 16 minutes after it was posted, I screenshotted this
January
comment on a
25th?
CPU review. It says, not including multiple units of CPUs you are testing, all caps, is scientifically incorrect. Okay, Greg, thanks
More data
to,
points is better. You don't
Greg
always have
here
the
with
ability to do so, though.
We spent over $10,000 on CPUs to test this point. We are testing, again, about 68 today. We have 3
That doesn't mean they can't resell them, which they're probably going to do at the end of this, mind you. But,
batches of 20 different SKUs, plus some extras mixed in. And we then spent months testing them. We started the testing and the purchasing, I think, back in February. Then in March, we got really into it, and we finally concluded in June. And that's without even getting to the fact that a product review based on a singular product is still a fair review, because if they're shipping it to market, it's fair game.
As far as like needing multiple data points for the same CPU, I'd probably say you need maybe 3 if you really want to do that to get like kind of an average going. But other than that, I don't think it really matters.
But we'll talk about that aspect later. I was joined by a couple of special guests for that side of things.
And if you normalize for frequency, so it doesn't change with PBO or turbo,
whether sample size truly matters in the scope of a
there's not really going to be any difference at all.
CPU. Short answer, no. Long answer, a lot more interesting. Plus, there's a specific instance where it might matter, and we'll talk to Roman about that. So for this video, we'll be briefly joined
built-in
by
overclocking,
Tim
but even
from
then it's not going to matter
Hardware
much.
Yeah, I've seen that comment a fair bit. You see this, like I'm sure you get the same. You see the same comments over and over and over again of just misconceptions in the way things are tested or done.
And by Der Bauer from Der Bauer.
Jeder fragt, wer der Bauer ist. Jeder fragt, warum ist der Bauer. Aber niemand fragt, wie es der Bauer geht.
The fuck? Germans have humor? Germans don't have humor. Steve should have realized this. Well, Germans do have humor. It's incredibly dry. I guess this is kind of it.
Jeder fragt, wer der Bauer ist. Jeder fragt, warum ist der Bauer. Aber niemand fragt, wie es der Bauer geht.
I'm tired, but that's basically it. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Because every reviewer has seen this comment probably hundreds or thousands of times over the years. It's a very interesting one. And we spoke with Hub for their shared passion of staring at benchmarks and watching them run. We actually have a Friday night watch party where we watch the GTA 5 benchmark cycle for about 95 minutes. It's very specific. And we spoke with Der Bauer because he happened to post his own sample size testing right when we were in the middle of running our first batch of CPUs, unbeknownst to us. We actually originally we only had 20 CPUs, and then you dropped your video, and I was like, all right. So as soon as you dropped yours, I was like, all right, well, we need to bring something new to this conversation. So let's get 40 more. So after that, we went back to the drawing board. We bought even more CPUs, and we're bringing a ton of new data to the table here. We have millions of frames we're analyzing across those about 70 or so plus or minus CPUs, thousands of test passes, and tons of cool data that we can't even fit in today's video, but maybe we'll look into in the future. We're also trying to use this video as an educational opportunity to explain one more important aspect that's often overlooked here, which is the unit-to-unit perceived variance within CPUs, which is very small. I mean, Intel has a specific spec.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to run at the speed that they're set to.
AMD's got a little bit more baked in there because it has some plus or minus on the frequency.
And there's PBO thrown on top and Turbo Boost that eats up the rest of it.
But it's a very small range, and so more likely...
Pretty sure this has been done in the past, years ago.
With the test platform itself. So
Tech
this
Report
is
did this.
more of a test of the testing than necessarily a test of CPU to CPU. We'll explore that today and spend a lot of time on it to really try and... it was awesome. This was a super cool opportunity, despite the fact that on January 25th, that comment took up space in my head, but I'm getting the rent back, I guess. It wasn't rent-free. We're making this video, so it's actually negative rent. I spend a lot of money. To help with understanding the difference, though, between the test approach and the CPU itself being different, we're going to briefly be showing the audience how to identify these types of bad data situations in case you personally do any hobbyist testing. Oh, and we have a pretty cool announcement for this video, too. So as part of this review, we obviously ended up buying a lot of CPUs that we will not need now that we're done with this. We need to get rid of them. So only until we run out of the CPUs, we're going to have a special code on the store. And if you buy $220 worth of items on store.gamersnexus.net, and while we still have these CPUs, we will include a free CPU with your order. So you can use code FREEAMD for an R5 7600 or code FREEINTEL for an i5-13600KF. That's KF. There is no IGP. We don't have a ton of these. I'm not sure how many we'll make available. It'll be less than 40 in total. But while it's active,
And that means they're
the
netting.
code will show up as a $1 discount in your cart, and that's how our warehouse team will know to include a CPU with your order. So if you see a $1 discount appear with the code in the cart, that means we still have the inventory. You'll get the CPU. If you see a red message pop up or you don't see the discount, the code's rejected, it means we've run out. Now, these will go super fast because it is a good deal. We're just trying to recoup some of our base costs on the CPUs. These have all been tested in today's content and they're working, but they're shipped as...
So I think, so the merch obviously is basically cost them next to no money. If you exclude eBay fees, they're probably about break even on the CPUs.
You're buying the products on the store and the CPU is free, so we're not able to offer any technical support or warranties on the CPUs, but it's possible that the manufacturer's warranty transfers between owners. You can check AMD or Intel in your region for that. Ultimately, we don't make the CPUs. Just make sure the code applies if you really want one. I sincerely doubt that's going to last more than a day or two. So today we're looking for a few key things. First of all, we'll be using this test to test our test.
It doesn't pay to resell them because it's not good enough of a deal.
It should be consistent, and historically,
The only reason you buy one is if you need it, or if you have zero fees in reselling, which would be like Facebook Marketplace or
separately, significant
Craigslist.
variance is more likely to point us towards the candidacy to eliminate a game from
Even
the
then, I'd
network
say it's not
suite
worth your
like
time.
CS:GO, rather than necessarily a CPU difference. So we're going to go game
They
by
priced
game
them
first.
just right.
Now that means we are completely siloing and isolating the data. So we're looking at, within this one game, what is the bottom to top performance sort of maximum improvement you can get, the range.
Let's
of
see.
result. And then at the end of it, we'll look at the sort of ranked results in aggregate.
What do they
This
have you
part
could
is
actually
really
sell?
important,
I think
so
they have
please pay
screwdrivers.
attention to this.
Yeah.
If
So there's a lot of stuff here that's just stuff, I guess you could say. Merch has really no inherent value beyond you being a fanboy, but they do have screwdrivers. Buy like 5 screwdrivers. Autographed. Autographed is an extra $20. 5. Art. Tell is the good one. Gone. Also gone. Oh, there you go.
So started with the 13600K. For the 13600K, we
They probably
using
went,
this test.
like, someone probably thought that maybe it was a good idea, like, right up till the point that they did it. So either you just get some free screwdrivers, I guess, or, yeah, basically just free screwdrivers for the most part. There's really no way to make money off of this. Except selling the screwdriver sets. And screwdriver sets are $50 a piece. They're pretty expensive for a screwdriver set. There's some really nice screwdriver sets on Amazon, guys. So I've gotten some, and the whole reason I don't buy any of the other ones is because they're actually pretty nice. I actually have a really nice one.
We had 80 total used test passes, which combined had over 3.2 million frames of data from which we can derive our average frame times, 1% lows, 0.1% lows, and FPS eventually. Here's the chart with every 13600K's result in Rainbow Six Siege. Our range, or max minus min average FPS result, was 11.1. The review sample was actually right in the middle at 684 FPS average. Our lowest to highest result at 676.9 versus 688 produced a 1.64% increase. So our findings here indicate effectively no impact from one CPU to the next. And again, we're not even at a stage where we can determine if the differences are from the CPUs. A 1% error is already fairly standard just as a general safety net for other system-level excursions and background noise, like unexpected system processes or Windows background tasks. One more really important note here too, we're gonna use some standard deviation charts in this video, and we wanna make sure it's very clear what these are used for and why we use them. So we use these as a tool to indicate to us the run-to-run variance of a CPU, but the standard deviation charts you're gonna see, they are not a quality indicator for the CPU itself, and they're not really necessarily a quality indicator for the game. So what we actually use them for is to serve as a giant red flag for us to rapidly identify any potentially bad passes in a test run for a game. So this isn't data we usually publish, and it can't be compared between games. It's no indicator of the CPU's quality. It is strictly a tool for us to look at quickly and say, oh, this one's got 20 where everything else is a 1. Probably we need to look into this. So that's why these are here, and we're gonna present them to you so you can get some insight for how we might rapidly identify issues in test passes, because they don't always complete perfectly, and that's most of what the job is figuring that part out. As you can see, on average, we observed an 8.5 FPS, average FPS, standard deviation, and 4.7 FPS for 1% lows. It's normal to have run-to-run variation. This can happen for a number of non-hardware reasons. It's important that everyone understands these do not necessarily indicate
I actually prefer using, instead of standard deviation, variance I think is much easier to understand than standard deviation is, because standard deviation, I believe, is based on logarithm, where variance is not. Variance is an easier to understand number for most people. Even though standard deviation will generally tell you more, variance is easier to understand. They both do very similar things to each other.
The quality of the CPU in any
Almost
way.
no one lists
Rather
variance,
than
though, or standard
consistency of the
deviation.
test itself, that particular
Standard deviation is generally the
More
more
commonly, this
statistical,
data is what we use to rapidly
acceptable method.
identify if a test just needs to be rerun
Making more
due to a software
veteran
or
stats.
OS anomaly. Now, this particular standard deviation chart would trigger our attention in testing to inspect the CPU 00413's tests more closely. So we did that, and we found a bad pass. Let's look at what that means. We have a new standard deviation chart for you. It looks like this. Now we get to build the story of how we process data for a review. This gives you some insight. We're going to remove the first pass for every entry in the Rainbow Six Siege
Oh my
data
God,
set,
Marvel.
and then we can append more if we need to. Sometimes we find that a game has unpredictable behavior when it first launches and executes an initial pass. And that's true
Marvel.
of both manual
How's your day
and
going, dude?
automated testing. It's just a game-to-game behavior. These numbers are fairly different overall. Of all these passes, the average standard deviation is about 3.8 FPS, down from 8.5 in the data set with the first pass. 1% is down from 4.7 to 2.6. That's pretty good considering that the frame rate itself is so damn high. So this shows you that benchmarking isn't a perfect science, and that's why it requires so much attention to detail and so many controls, because ultimately you're still sort of at the behest of the game. Now, we have some methods to deal with this. It's mostly by inspecting the data, rerunning things as needed, or running additional passes. Say maybe we do 8 or 12. Specifically, we use those if it's clear to us that the unpredictable behavior is a
You
software
are?
or
Oh
a
my
test
God,
problem,
that's
not
fantastic.
a hardware problem, because we're reviewing the hardware. But in this instance, that first pass of
I
data
actually
wasn't CPU
suspect this
behavior.
is going to be
You can
kind of a
think of it as
long in the
almost
tooth sort of
really random.
review.
It's external. Back to our first
With
chart. Here's the data
really
with that
anything
first
outside the
pass
ordinary. I
broken
think you
down
basically
for
summed it up by saying there's probably going to be
We
about
now
2%
have a range
variance
of
between the
10.2
CPUs, and that's it.
With 1% lows, very consistent.
Which is kind of sad
between
because, I mean, they
all
put a lot of
CPUs
work
here.
into this, but at the
The
same time,
improvement
pretty
from
much
lowest
anyone that's
CPU and
benchmarked
lowest to
before
highest is
knows that this is just going to be a bunch of
Even
nothing.
with that filtering, we're only down 1/10% in difference.
What would actually
So
be
the sort of
interesting
main
here is
conclusion
PBO
just
tests,
with this section of the
which
topic
I
is
don't know
that
if they're
with
going
this
to.
test, there's effectively no difference in these Intel CPUs. We would not be concerned about pulling any random
Fast forward.
splits. The
This is a
main
really long
point is
piece,
that
too.
Software often plays a far more relevant role than hardware, and testing methods play an even larger role than that. Here's the chart with every result. CPU 20003 is the review sample that we used. And that would have been one of the first CPUs off the line, so there's some process maturity to consider. We'll first highlight, though, every result that starts with the word bad. This is a good teaching moment for the audience to see what we really do when we test things, but it's deeper than this, too. Even the data that isn't marked bad has some bad passes in it. So this chart is not the final one for this. We'll work our way there. First, the stack of 4 tests on the bottom were run in a different month than the first set. These 2 data sets were tested with different game versions. As such, those 4 CPUs are comparable, sort of, to each other, establishing a range of about 8 FPS out of over 600, but not against the rest of the data. Look at one above those, though. We have one that was labeled bad mount. These are pretty rare, but it's an instance where we ran the testing, we looked at the data, and we saw a greater deviation than the rest of the data set indicated should be likely. So we ran through the usual checklists, ensured that it wasn't a CPU level issue, because we'd want to keep that if so, and we found that ultimately the operator did have a bad mount on the CPU. Typically, this is data we'd just throw out and rerun, and we'd never show it because it's not the CPU's fault. Here, though, it serves its purpose educationally. And this is a part of the discussion that's never really captured when people leave comments saying there's not enough sample size. They might not realize that the testing itself is far more likely to produce variables that are greater than CPU to CPU. Let's get a version of this chart without the bad data. Our new data range is 33.4 FPS average, or sort of lowest to highest improvement of 4.6%. This chart passes or more depending on how variable it is, and then we look at that data set we're shown. That's good. We have 2 CPUs with the other driver.
I really hope they test, was it Turbo Boost and PBO? Because that's really what's interesting here, is not this is basic bitch stuff, it's PBO, which is built-in overclocking headroom. They don't, that's a pretty big deal. 5, Tomb Raider. More so than not having enough samples, I faulted them not having enough games. Stellaris. Noticing a pattern here, guys? Yeah, Far Cry 6. Go. Not test PBO at all.
AMD. Roman previously ran a similar test for his samples of R5 other CPUs. It's time to look at the consistency of the rankings. If the same CPUs are consistently at the top or bottom of the charts, that'd be maybe useful information, especially if it's, say, always ranked number 1 or always ranked number 22. If they're randomly scattered, then it's more likely system noise, or at least we would lack the confidence to start making a determination as to which one is best.
Here's the table for the 13600K. All we looked for here was the pattern to jump out. The noticeable one is that the CPU 00761 only has single-digit ranks, with lower being better. It's not always rank 1. That'd be very easy if so, but it tends to be higher. CPU 00643 did okay as well. It has 3 lower ranked games though, and those indicate its first 4 single ranked results.
It's not even consistently
really mean anything. It could just be
position.
chance.
So
CPU
this means the variance has even less
had
meaning.
only double-digit ranks, so it is typically lower, and none of this is helping. So let's look at something else. Here's another weird visualization. We're getting to a better one, so hang on. For this, each dot is a rank for a game. We basically glanced at this to try and get a quick gut feeling. CPU 04539, for example, stacked vertically, is clearly generally worse ranked.
Probably could have made a
CPU
line chart
00761
where you
is
connect the
clearly
dots
generally
like that.
better ranked. We tried bubble graph versions of this as well. We won't bother showing them because none of it really answers anything for us, at least not confidently. Let's do a simple unweighted average. This is only looking at the rank per game as a whole number and then averaging all of those ranks together. It is extremely barbaric and not necessarily conclusive, but again, it helps guide us a direction. We'll get to that. We have a conclusion. We'll get there. But here, CPU 00761 is clearly averaging a better rank per game, and actually in a large way, than the rest of these. CPU 00829 is clearly averaging worse, and again, in a large way. There's a big gap there. That means there's more 20s and high teens in its rank. There are problems with
Not that this matters, that this is just rating against each other. In real-world performance, which they already showed, this doesn't mean anything. Like, even though you're weeding out samples and making some are better than others, in the real-world terms and context, are objectively looking at the data. You're talking about a 2% difference between the highest and the lowest. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything at all. That's why I said it would have been interesting, actually, just like unrelated to this, but PBO, because obviously overclocking headroom is going to be different per CPU. But that actually would have been really cool data to glean from all this, is what you can pick out from PBO in general.
Get there, but let's look at one more first. Here are the raw numbers for
Oh, you found me on your sidebar. Well, hello,
Again, not
sidebar.
helpful for the same reasons we're about to discuss.
That's also a segue. It's funny because you made a joke about segueing out of what you're watching to my sidebar because I'm on your sidebar, but secondary, additional, or incidental thing. It can be used as another word for a segue. Whee. Transition from one role or state or condition to another. Move or shift from one role, state, or condition to another. Move from one piece of music or side to another.
Glance. And here's the average chart. Technically, yes, some trends emerge. Notably, 20189.
But once again, they're picking apart the statistics at the end of all this, but there isn't really much here. More you know.
Even if it is a real hardware level difference. But we do have more CPUs.
I really should make a key for that to play the jingle.
Our other CPUs in the same level of detail, you probably get the point. But we ran the same suite for a batch of AMD Ryzen 3 4100 CPUs. We had 20 of these as well, so we're 60 plus CPUs now in testing. If you're wondering why this specific one, it was just because this particular batch was sent to us by AMD's lab team. They didn't need it anymore. They wanted us to bring it over to Patrick Stone for his local computer engineering high school classroom, and we quickly ran them through variance tests first. We were just making sure they worked. It's useful, though, because it's a totally different architecture, and it's very low end. And yes, he did get the CPUs for his classroom builds. We won't get into the details here in full, but it had the lowest standard deviation run-to-run per CPU of all of these. We also had 4 Intel i7 8086Ks around the office. We decided to just run those through also. Here's the summary table, maybe again.
The 4100 tested against 20 CPUs, and every test
Yep.
in this chart ranged from 1.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure this has been done. I swear Tech Report did this before. This mindset, or you have to test a lot of samples, has been around for a long time. Like I said, if you really want to test this, I'd say like 3 samples is all you really need if you're really worried about this. But having more CPUs is actually better. Because internally, Intel does their own binning process. They do their own internal validation to make sure that every CPU is where it's supposed to be in their rankings to have a number. So this number is a speed grade essentially associated with the CPU. This is what the CPU is capable of doing according to Intel, and you can see it basically falls inside of their AMD. This falls inside of their own internal benchmarks that they have. So Intel is already doing basically the validating for you, unless you're like, this calls into question the credibility of Intel or AMD's process if these numbers are way off. Like, if these numbers are way, way off, that means that AMD or Intel is not selling you what you think you're getting. And AMD and Intel basically have an entire suite. They test this internally at their factories prior to shipping. So this is like a non-issue, complete non-issue, because like, he didn't explain that completely. We jumped through the benchmarks, but at the beginning of this, like, he loosely went over that. But basically, this just depends on Intel and AMD doing their job, because this is money. These numbers here are money. This represents more or less money, and that's... But you're paying them to make sure these numbers fit the money. That's pretty much it. And then all it comes down to is basically just looking at... I would look at the overclocking headroom that's available between sample sizes. This would have been a great opportunity for at least basic overclocking to figure out where these samples actually reside with one benchmark, where these samples reside against each other in terms of their overclocking potential, or they might even be the same. That would be actually really curious. I don't actually think they did this, though.
The simple average of all these percentages is an average uplift of
OCN power.
chart to chart, but not necessarily from one fixed CPU to another fixed CPU. Again, it's isolated per game. The 8086K, which had a low sample size, so that
That's the biggest thing to explain to people is Intel and AMD already do this for you.
0.5% to 2.8% range. The 13600K once again was about 1.4% to 2.1% against 22 samples. The 7600 ranged 3.63%, ignoring the CSGO result because we think there's a driver or other external reason there that we already explained. And we had about 22 to 23 samples for the 7600, depending on what we were using for the tests. And in most cases, we averaged about 20 of these for the results. 2 of them were on other drivers. They're within the same range as you saw earlier. And then the last one was sometimes removed. Rainbow Six had less data to work with due to the game updates we talked about earlier. All totaled, game to game, across about 68 samples, depending on how you...
I know they put a lot of work into it, and I'm kind of summing it up that way, but it's really just...
about a 2% range. So we have confidence in the approximate 2% or so, plus or minus a bit, as differences that we saw earlier, one game to the next. That much we're excited about. It sort of helps us genuinely to bake in an expectation for, all right, so let's just pretend there's a worse or a better CPU than what we got. What realistically...
Do you, dude? Normally I don't. So I have a podcast section and I play games, so... this is generally where we cover tech, anything that's happening in the news that might be interesting, media... I bitch for a bit. It really depends, and then we play games.
Is a thing. It's proven. There's a
such as
whole
Overwatch
business built on the back of the Silicon Lottery. So that much we know is a meaningful variance, and for that, let's check in with Roman. So what's your experience been with overclocking differences chip to chip?
I think my best impression I have on this is back when I was spinning 6700Ks at Case King, because I did all of them myself manually. And I binned about 4,000 CPUs in about 3 months. Let's say water cooling, the difference ranges from about 400 to 500 megahertz difference in like peak what's possible. But from what I can see now, like over the years, they definitely improved the CPU quality overall. Their quality control in the fabs. So overall, it seemed like with the latest gens, like 12th and 13th gen, the difference became much smaller. Back then with the 6700K, we saw differences in voltages from about...
oh my god, that's amazing. I generally don't look at followers or subs. I know that seems kind of lackluster. Followers, so subs aren't subs on Kick. I stream to multiple platforms. I'm streaming to YouTube, Kick, and Facebook right now. Facebook, almost no one watches on. But YouTube, you get a lot. There's a lot of weird engagement. My numbers on YouTube go all over the place. which is actually kind of cool, to be perfectly honest. You get a lot of different people from a lot of different areas, but Kick and Facebook and Kick, a sub is basically, you know, a subscription to the channel. I don't know what they're called on YouTube. Basically, where you pay money per month for like a subscription. On YouTube, they're called subs, which is a follower. So it's basically the same thing. Just explaining the differences there. But oh my god, I got 50 subs on Kick. Yeah, no. But good. Hope the number continues to grow.
Worst samples, and like also in like thermally, there was also huge differences. Some CPUs would run maybe, let's say, 90 degrees Celsius peak, and the other one would just run at 60 degrees Celsius peak.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, we were also checking for leakage.
And we next asked Rowan about a topic we didn't cover here today. We focused
That's
on
a shame.
gaming charts
They spent a lot of money.
But the topic we brought up was power. We specifically wanted to know about the 7600.
So I was visiting Hetzner, and they are running those CPUs in servers.
Okay.
And so they bought also thousands of those CPUs,
Huh.
and
Yeah.
they had a huge tolerance in the CPUs,
Yep.
which they discovered. Like,
so
they had
YouTube
initial
has a
batch of, I don't
subscription
know, 1,000
service. I don't know
units.
what it's called
I
though.
used them, evaluated
Because I'm not a
thermals
big
and
enough
everything,
streamer for it.
and then after a couple of reorders, they
And then
suddenly had
Facebook does too.
CPUs that, I don't know, consumed 15 to 20 watt more with
Yeah.
exactly the same settings. And it seemed like AMD was using the low-end CPUs as basically a garbage bin, or like, I'm not sure how to say it, but like, you know,
Yeah.
to just repurpose the really bad ones. Because they can still obviously run the specification, but just on a different level. Even though some of them were much worse than the others, they would still run the advertised clock speeds. So
Right.
they could all run the boost in gaming. Games perform better because it's easier for the CPU to maintain the higher clock because the load is so much lower.
Roman later noted that he saw about a 2 to 3% difference in clocks for gaming scenarios, which actually aligns really well with the data that we collected. So that's two different sources landing on a similar conclusion on the gaming side. And as far as reviews, even if you look at, say, our Cinebench numbers where it's a 3 to 4% range, answering the question of is one sample enough for reviews, we think yes. One
I'd say
sample is
so.
enough. Of course, out of millions of CPUs
Plus, you're messing up the
shipped, there's a
testing in and of
possibility
itself, which
that
you can
one has
just,
some
you know,
super crazy
surmise with just
result,
more
really
testing,
good
right?
or really
Like I said,
bad.
this is kind of a
And every
lackluster
reviewer
review,
happens to
but
land
that's
on one
being someone that's
is
kind of
so
informed on what's
reflective
going
of
on
the
with
reality
tech
of that
reviews,
shit.
so
As reviewers, does it matter if we have CPU A or B? And the answer is no, not realistically. I've got some
AMD
thoughts
and
on that,
Intel are
and so
doing their
does
job.
Tim from
Nope.
Hard Run Box. We'll join him
Nope,
later. So
nope,
what
nope.
we don't have confidence in is declaring a singular victor or loser across all of the charts. We can look at it siloed, but once you start looking in aggregate, all of them, we just don't have the data there. It's not just a matter of sample size. We'd have to run all these tests more times, including with resockets and things like that, allowing subtimings that aren't surfaced to recalculate, things of that nature. In other words, it's possible that there are other variables, even with all these controls, that could reshuffle the stack by, say, 0.2, 0.5%. And now the best is just actually the top of the average. But none of that matters. What we care about is that these are close enough that actually it's irrelevant for a review out of all these CPUs to embark on another few hundred hours of testing to maybe confirm that yes, one CPU is in fact consistently 2% better than another is pointless. We'd still have uncertainty at the end of it. There's always a natural variance. Maybe we make a declaration of a 1% victory, but we already know there's CPU variance sample to sample. That's fact. So that doesn't do anything. What we care about is how much. And the answer we got is for the types of reviews we do, it doesn't appear to be much with these. And now we get back to the topic I mentioned earlier, where if there is a variance that's more meaningful, let's say 5%, it's still a legitimate review because you're still capturing a real product in situ and presenting how it performs. So whatever the case is, yes, it may help to test another one, but that's why there's a lot of reviews from a lot of people. So talking with Tim from Hard Run Box about this, here's what he had to say.
Anything you want to say for people who are, it's sample size.
Yeah, I've seen that comment a fair bit, especially, I mean, with monitors, everyone tests monitors differently. So, you know, a lot of the times you get the, oh, they've got that number and we've got
Turbo
this
Boost
number
was
and they're different.
Intel's.
So,
Turbo Boost.
you know, did you get a bad sample or did they get a really good sample, or who's sending out the best products to you? And I mean, my general thoughts are it's kind of like they're selling these products and some variance is going to occur, but generally speaking, you know, it's not going to be too much. And again, if we get a really bad sample in that's, say, slightly below the expected variance, they're selling it. So I think it's fair to test a product like that. So yeah, I certainly don't necessarily agree with the like, oh, you've only tested one. How could you possibly know if this is good or bad? I think if, yeah, you know, the manufacturer's got to be happy with what they're putting out. If we just happen to get a product that's not as good or whatever, then. But those comments are certainly very frustrating and maybe don't have a lot of insight into sort of the different ways that people can test.
Tim also reminded us that actually about 5 years ago, Hardware Unboxed ran a similar test with, I think it was about 10 samples that were acquired for retail from a previous Intel generation.
There's that video as well that we've made that sort of got our, at least when we tested that, our results, which were again sound pretty similar to what you'd described, just having a look over it. But I watched that video 5 years ago, so it's hard to remember. Yeah, I mean, our general process for reviews would be that anything outside of sort of 5% one way or another is, you know, a significant difference. And then inside that, we've, you know, if it's testing two different products, we tend to call that a tie. That tends to make us think, oh, you know, how much variance should we be looking for? We probably want to make sure that if we're calling two products, you know, one's much faster and you should buy it, that it's outside that sort of tolerance. But I mean, just from my perspective, generally plus minus 5% sounds like a big margin, but you know, there's so many different things that can happen.
Thanks, Greg, for giving Steve the spite field needed to provide us with content. They're between hardware release cycles, so this is stuff that they post when there's nothing else going on because there's no new hardware.
And we'd agree with those points.
100 pounds?
So
oh my God.
Variance in a particular unit, as long as it's truly a unit level issue, not just the testing process, the company still ships it to a customer, the review still shows that possibility, and that's important. So philosophically, we kind of view it like if we buy a pre-built from a company and it comes with a fan backwards that causes the CPU to hit 100 degrees, a thing that happened. That to us is still a valid review because it's still a thing that would have happened to a customer. They built it that way, and if it weren't us, it would have been someone else. So that's valid. Now, at CPUs, it's a little easier to identify when there's a problem because they are so tight in tolerances. These companies, they've kind of perfected it for the most part, so most of the bad stuff gets tossed. The original comments we read to kick this piece off attacked the idea of sort of the credibility, the validity of any reviews, because they're all based on a single sample. Maybe you get one with two or something if you're lucky, but it would dismiss the value of any and all reviews, really, that anyone can afford to do, especially.
Maybe years ago,
just to try and
there's some
hit
differences.
Some technically by the books approach to sample size with testing. And you do have to balance the reality with it. Do you want no reviews, or do you want reviews you can cross-compare with people? And probably, based on our data, are within 2% anyway. And if it's more than that, we'll know.
Now, that doesn't mean that reviewer differences should be within 2%. It means that unit to unit, if the same person...
There can be a lot of
tests the
differences
same
between
way,
reviewers,
they might see that percent.
depending on their methodology, so how they test stuff.
From an off-record source at one of the two big CPU manufacturers. Can't say specifically which one. They tend to shoot for around a 3% variance maximally in a retail unit. And the CPU test lab we spoke with anonymously at one of these two companies considers a 1% system noise to be baked into all the tests, just to give you an idea for the sort of accepted background. The best approach, we think, is, in agreeing with Tim from Hardware Unboxed here, is to just use the right language in the review where if two numbers are really close, we try to remember to say things like these are functionally equal. You've probably heard us say that a lot. These are effectively the same. They're basically the same. You might start describing differences like 5% as technically ahead or a little bit ahead.
Okay, this is kind of boring, but that's particularly because I knew what this was going to turn into at the end of this regardless. Basically, AMD and Intel pay to put a number on a box, and that's what you get. So you don't need to test a large sample size because AMD and Intel already test a large sample size at their factories. Good. Good. Oh my God, new subscriber chatting. Wow. Let's take a look at both the Critical Drinker and then the Blue Beetle pitch meeting, which should be good.
Sarah.
Waterworld, as I mentioned, Waterworld is pretty good. I don't understand why YouTube, like, when you watch a video, it doesn't... Like, we watch the whole thing. We watch all of those. Let's take a look at a lightsaber.
Now, one many criticisms of current-day Star Wars is the way that it handles lightsaber injuries. See, in the past, lightsabers were depicted as pretty terrifying instruments of death that could slice through limbs, droids, steel beams, and blast doors like butter. And if you happened to get run through with one, well, it was pretty much curtains for you. Nowadays, though, major injuries like this are treated more like minor inconveniences that characters can just walk off.
Ah, feminism, Star Wars.
Who got impaled not once but twice by a lightsaber and survived with no long-term repercussions. Or Sabine from the recent episode of Ahsoka, who had a blade stuck in her for a good 5 or 6 seconds and turned out to be just fine afterwards. Now, there's been a lot of debate back and forth about how believable this
We
all
talked
is.
about this in
Nobody
Obi-Wan.
seems to have a definitive answer about what a lightsaber would actually do to you. Until now. Lucky for you, dear viewer, the drinker is here, and I'm about to science the shit out of this one. Now, in order to understand the effects of a lightsaber on a living body, we first need to understand what a lightsaber is and how it works. Well, basically a lightsaber is a blade of highly energized plasma energy that burns between 15,000 and 23,000 degrees Celsius, which makes it extremely effective at cutting through virtually any material in the Star Wars universe. It basically melts and vaporizes whatever it comes into contact with, which makes it ideal for slicing off limbs to disarm opponents with quick, efficient strokes. But what would it do to Sabine here, who gets one shoved right into her torso and held there for a protracted length of time? Well, let's consider it from a biological view first of all. We know that Sabine is a Mandalorian, which in Star Wars terms makes her human, with roughly the same physiology as us. This is very useful because we know what humans look like on the inside. We also know that she was impaled in the lower right side of the abdomen at an upward
By
angle,
liver.
which means the blade would likely have penetrated her upper intestines, kidney, and possibly her liver too. If this was just a regular old steel-bladed sword, then such an injury would cause catastrophic damage to her internal organs and almost certainly be fatal without immediate medical intervention. But this isn't a sword, it's a lightsaber, which means that Sabine has got much bigger things to worry about now. See, as I mentioned earlier, lightsabers burn at temperatures of up to 23,000 degrees, which is about 3 times as hot as the surface of the sun, in case you were wondering.
Yep.
Now, water, on the other hand, boils and turns into steam at just 100 degrees, and the plasma that makes up our blood is composed of about...
So, one of the going theories, before he gets into this, guys, one of the going theories on what happened to the pad with Starship. So, Starship, you know, SpaceX Starship. One of the going theories on what happened to the pad that actually I think is very credible is water still has, or concrete still has water in it, if you didn't know that, which is just entrapped. It's entombed there forever. And one of the going theories about why the pad exploded was the water inside of the concrete actually boiled. Starship got the concrete so hot that it actually caused the pad itself, like the water, to boil and basically burst. So it caused the concrete pad to explode. Yeah, and you have to get insanely fucking hot to do that. But when water boils, it turns into steam and then basically just increases in space, I believe. Like, I think the volume increases. Maybe. No, when it freezes, it increases in space. Does it get smaller? Does water increasing... Water going from liquid to gas change? Yes, it does. The change from liquid to gas significantly increases the volume of a substance by a factor of 1,000. So, it can cause you to explode. Oh, maybe not. Maybe water's an exception. Volume increases 1,600 times. How steam engines work. Yeah, so it, yeah, yeah. Sabina had a steam engine inside of her.
Said water. So what would this mean for Sabine? Well, in less than a second, the blood plasma in the vicinity of the lightsaber blade would immediately heat up and flash into steam, expanding rapidly as its density decreases. The convection effects of heat traveling through surrounding tissue would cause the effect to accelerate until it ruptured the containment vessel, in this case, her body. Now, in the worst case, this would mean a highly energized steam explosion similar to the one that destroyed the reactor core at Chernobyl. The best case scenario is that her body would expand like a balloon, with steam rushing out of every available orifice until eventually it lost all structural integrity and blew apart. Either way, I think it's safe to conclude that such an injury would be fatal. But wait, there's an even bigger problem to deal with. See, water is made up of two chemical elements, hydrogen and oxygen, and if you heat them up enough, they'll split apart. This actually happens at comparatively low temperatures of just 2
So, I think there's actually like a Mythbuster episode of this where someone made like, I'm sure you guys have seen the real life lightsabers, right? Which is, it's just it's like a superheated sword is basically what it comes down to. And they use it on like a piece of meat and it doesn't really do that much.
Degrees. But we're not at 2000 degrees, we're at 20,000 and above. And at that temperature, the hydrogen atoms won't just split away from their oxygen friends, they'll ignite explosively in the extreme heats. Not in the same way as a hydrogen bomb, but more like the Hindenburg disaster. So basically, Sabine's entire body would literally combust right in front of her eyes as the hydrogen-oxygen separation spreads as a chain reaction until it consumes all the available fuel in the vicinity. She would effectively be incinerated at the atomic level, and all that would be left would be a small pile of chemical byproducts. So no, she probably wouldn't be able to walk this one off. But anyway, just in case you ever wondered what would actually happen if you got run through by a lightsaber, you have your answer. Nothing good. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Maybe there's comments about specifically about that. Let's see. Bean wasn't stabbed by a lightsaber, she was stabbed by a Disney saber. Disney sabers often kill their victims franchise instead of the actual victims. It was poisoned. In Star Wars, there are a lot of materials that mechanically can protect you from lightsabers, such as Durasteel, Beskar are good examples, but in this fight she was using the strongest of them all, plot armor. Yep. Moment of silence for Master Key. He missed the era where everyone survives a lightsaber fight. Yep. They actually have a name for him now. They call him Disney Sabers. There's actually video on this. We aren't going to watch it. One long, actually. By the way, if you ever get stabbed by a sharp object in your belly, do not pull it out. Go to the ER with it stuck in there. It is sealing the wound and pulling it out accelerates internal bleeding. Yep, I've heard that one already. So if you get stabbed, don't pull out the knife. Probably will want to. Okay, let's take a look at the Blue Beetle, and then we're going to move forward. And we'll probably take a look at the Starfield benchmarks tomorrow. Which means pretty good.
So, you have a new movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. See, I was thinking what DC really needs is a movie about a young guy who gets chosen by a super powerful being to have superpowers, and there's a big focus on family.
Shazam.
Yeah, we just did that twice. Well, this would be a different family, and they're Mexican. Oh, okay,
Oh.
that's probably different enough that it won't be affected by this whole superhero fatigue everybody's talking about. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that superhero fatigue is a myth. You're telling me people could get tired of seeing energy beams? Well, like, what if there's... I don't know, what if there's more to movie making than wisecracking characters shooting energy beams? You sound crazy. That did sound crazy. I don't know what the heck I was talking about just there. So anyway, the main character,
Or just,
Jaime, is...
you know, it really doesn't matter if they're shooting laser beams or not. What matters is whether or not they're written well. You can be in whatever setting you want to. If the movie's written well and has a good plot and story and characters, it doesn't matter what setting they're in. For the most part, it adds to it, like a good video game. But at the end of the day, it's not end-all be-all.
He's coming back from college and he needs a job fast. Why doesn't he just ask his father for $1 million? Well, see, that's the thing. His parents don't have any money either. I don't get it. Well, sir, some people need to work for stuff. Oh, okay, this is like a fictional thing. No, actually, this is real life. They're living in poverty. I've never heard that word, and let me tell you, I don't like it. Right, you might want to leave your rich person bubble from time to time. You mean like to Ibiza? Never mind. So this guy gets a job cleaning this rich lady, Victoria Cord's house. But this lady is the bad guy of the movie. She's super evil. Oh, she is, huh? What's her deal? Oh, let me tell you something about how evil this lady is. She's so evil... That works. Great, and so she wants to use this blue scarab technology to build an army of super soldiers. I feel like I've seen this before. Oh, you absolutely have, sir, and that's a feeling you're gonna get in most scenes in this film. Oh, well, that's kind of comforting. It is, isn't it? Nice and cozy. So Victoria's niece, Jenny, finds out about the evil plan and decides to try and stop it. What does she do? She freaking sneaks into this secret lab in the Cord building by stealing a scientist's key card, and she takes the Blue Beetle and puts it inside a Big Belly Burger fast food box. What the... Was that you on the box? What are you talking about? The Big Belly Burger box. Was that you on the packaging? What are you doing on the packaging? I didn't show you anything. Are you saying that when I said Big Belly Burger, the image that popped into your head for the logo was me? Oh, yeah, I guess that must be what happened. What the hell, man? I'm sorry. I feel like you'd be a good logo for the Big Belly Burger. We're like the exact same weight. Nah, you've got 20 pounds on me at least. Why? That's pretty hurtful. Anyway, so what else happens? Well, okay, so then scientist guy goes back into his lab and he's like, oh no, the Blue Beetle is gone. Let's lock down the building. How'd he get back inside the lab if she had his key card? Hey, shut up. And so Jenny gives this fast food box to Jaime, who was in the building because she said she could get him a job. So the scarab
Talking to security, obviously.
Blue Beetle? It is. It's gonna go in his butt. Oh, super butt bugs are tight. And choose him as a host and make him into a superhero. So why did this thing choose him as a host? Because. Great. So what can he do now? Well, he can fly and he's bulletproof, and most importantly, the suit can create anything he can imagine. Oh, what kind of crazy stuff is he gonna imagine? Literally just blades and various energy blasters. Oh. Yeah, okay. So anyway, now to try to get this Blue Beetle thing out of him, they need this smartwatch that's inside the Cord building, so they gotta break in. Well, that's gonna be hard to do. I mean, they must be on super high alert. Actually, it's gonna
like
be super
Green
easy,
Lantern?
barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, it turns out his Uncle Rudy had already built the exact kind of machine they need to break past security, so they just use that. Well, fantastic. But then
Green Lantern Marvel?
Carapax gets into a fight with Blue Beetle, and he's got a freaking super suit as well. Uh-oh. And the Blue Beetle super suit wants to kill this guy, but Jaime's like, no, we're not killers.
Oh, Green Lantern is Marvel, or
noble
DC.
Moral code or whatever. Yeah, but then later the bad guys attack the whole family and his father's gonna die. So that's why he can't give his son $1 million. What? Now I'm getting it. No, you're not. This is just a very sad moment, and then Jaime's gonna get kidnapped because Victoria wants to steal the Blue Beetle technology. Oh no. And so the rest of the family's gonna have to band together to go rescue him. How are they gonna do that? Well, turns out Jenny's father used to be Blue Beetle, so they use some of his old tech to murder a bunch of henchmen. punishment. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a freaking slaughter, sir. They shoot people and impale them and stomp them. What about that moral code thing? Oh, that doesn't apply to them. They seem to have a wonderful time taking lives. Well, good for them, I guess. Good to have a good time. And so Carapax is going to end up also getting Blue Beetle powers, so then there's going to be a big final fight. Uh-oh. Yeah, so we're going to do this really neat thing where the good guy's fighting the bad guy, and the bad guy has similar powers, but he's a different color, and so that there's like a CGI fight.
Black Panther.
Oh, I feel so freaking cozy right now. Me too, sir.
Your
So
matches are
Carapax
super
is gonna
fucking
realize
boring,
that
guys.
Victoria's not a nice lady, so he's gonna drag her into some fire to be burned alive. Oh my god. And so then everybody's happy, and Jenny becomes the head of the cord company, and now they're only gonna do nice stuff. Wow. So what do you think? Oh, I mean, it's a superhero movie with an ever so slight twist. How can anyone resist? Okay, great. So you're really not worried about superhero fatigue then? You know what? Superhero fatigue, schmooper-hero fatigue. What?
Yep.
Hi everybody, Ryan George.
Basically, at the end of DC and at the end of basically, I'm done with superhero movies. Not because I hate superheroes in any way, shape, or form. They're just all really bad. They've been bad since Avengers, since Endgame. That even Endgame was kind of getting kind of weird.
Nonsensical. It'll just be backwards. So
Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing for a while. I don't think that's really stopped. It's just slid downhill so fast that now people are kind of like to the point where they're like, hey, maybe we're done with superheroes. And it's not, like I said, I don't think the idea, the setting is wrong. I think they just aren't written well. They're just all written by ChatGPT, and that's pretty much it. They've been written by ChatGPT for years at this point, and yeah, that's not entertaining, unfortunately. So yeah, about that, guys. Okay. Let's see. Let's move along, guys, on to the Reddits here, and then we're going to play some OW2s. What's in the Reddits tonight, guys? Eva Bomb kills 5 enemies. Lucky Licio boop. Yep. They definitely added RNG to it. When Overwatch 2 first came out, there is, like, I'd call it a... affirmative action potgies, which are just people that don't get potgies ever, they just give it to them. It doesn't even matter if they did anything. Just to make them feel like they got a gold star. It was actually pretty sad. They changed that around January, I think it was, or February, earlier this year. Want anyone to feeling left out? Gold stars for everyone. Yeah. They definitely changed it with Overwatch 2. It used to be completely performance-based, which is usually alts, into what it is now. But ask a question for engagement. Check. And AMD Reddits. There's still a Sigma. The AMD GPUs suck. Starfield's an example. It's lasted for a long time. Kind of myth. Stereotype still persists. There's a lot of people that think AMD GPUs suck, and they haven't for a long time. They've been very competitive with AMD, NVIDIA at price points. Generally, you get more in and they're cheaper. I would definitely have a 7900 XT right now. 7800 XT, 7900 XT. 7900 XT right now. If like I wasn't locked into NVIDIA. Regardless, because you could get a 7900 XTX, which is somewhere between a 4080 and a 4090, depending on the game, for $1,000, or you could get a 4080, which is $1,200, which is more expensive. Yeah, or you get a 4090, which is linearly the same performance per dollar as a 4080 for $1,600. That's come down in price, but yeah, they were pretty bad for a while. No one saw them that way. But basically, because I'm a streamer, I'm locked in because I want to drop in replacement. I'm basically locked in NVIDIA right now, and I don't want to put up with random shit. But not everyone's a streamer, so, you know, hands down, what about 7900 XTX? Yep. Alrighty. Let's move along, guys. On to the OWs. Good. Play some Gamaz, get some cheaters tonight. Oh my god, can't wait. Alrighty, I gotta wash out my coffee cup too, and grab a soda. And then we're gonna get into the Gamaz. It takes I am going to go wash my coffee cup out, guys. Be right back. Alrighty, guys. Yeah. And just for what all of you have been waiting for. Oh my god. It's coming. It's coming. Boop. Oh my god. And you can see granola bar wrapper. There we go. Lovely. Yep. Alrighty. See what kind of games we get tonight, guys. See how many people are cheating. Oh, yes. Love it. Here beyond. Done. Do a humph. Yeah, we're going to be playing Starfield in a couple days here, guys. Good. Yeah.
Strike from above.
Comp is absolutely terrible late night. why we aren't playing it.
Select your hero.
Generally get hard games in quick play. That's not it.
Strike from above.
Your comp rank tends to be very close
There's
to
always room for
your
improvement.
quick play rank, but they can be different from each other. Depends on how much of each you play, whether or not you've gotten better between the two.
Establishing aerial position.
Emma for first game. Good, 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 good.
5, 4,
Good.
3, 2,
Up and away.
attackers incoming.
Enemy over here.
Defend objective A.
Dispersing. Enemy here. Taking off. Concussive out. Enemy over here. Dispersing.
Ash. That the Sojourn. Fuck you. That is the Sojourn.
Excellent. My ultimate is ready.
Sure, there's a guy back here.
Negative. I am ready to unleash my ultimate. I got you.
Rest my health so I don't die. Thank you.
Over here. They don't give these suits to just anyone. Health restored.
Oh my god, that's an accident. Here's the deep. Yeah, that was for me. Oh, eventually gonna happen. I got hit by a headshot. Yeah, from the Ash.
Making another
Good.
approach. En route.
Pretty good though.
I was made for this.
You have a mercy still? Yeah.
Much better. Enough whining. You're fine. Dispersing. I see an enemy.
That wasn't where we wanted him. And I want some gun. Good spot for him just to linger. Did Anna even ult that entire game? And then there's that game. Uh-huh. Or he did better. Apache glitch. Their aim looks weird. Clicking is weird. Like accuracy wise, guys, if he's accusing me of cheating, we've accused a lot of people of cheating. Accuracy wise, we were not super accurate. There's a lot of spam. There's a lot of spam in line of sight, if you guys are curious about that. Because a lot of people think that top MMR is fair, is just never missing shots. A lot of it has to do with line of sighting. Top 500, but yeah. Because if you aren't, you die. Like, we got one tapped. So the soldier did a tiny bit of damage to us, the Atch headshot us, and then the soldier finishes off in the same, basically, attack.
Select your hero.
Basically what it comes down to is getting 2 tapped and you're dead. Good aim for me is like 50% plus in normal missiles and 20% plus in directs. Well, that's when I'm doing good, not good aim.
Then you change the laws. Easy for you to say.
Oh, I love Dr. Pepper. So fizzy. I miss EU sodas, guys. EU sodas are great.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Affirmative.
1.
Flying the friendly skies.
Initial flashpoint. Marking.
Want to know the forecast? Thanks.
That McCree is gunning for me right now. While I'm hidden. Go.
Aerial positioning underway. Scatter. Enemy here. Issuing an alert. Enemy here.
They try and push me.
Enemy over here. I don't think so.
Gotta place them.
Perfect case. Positioning. Over there. I see an enemy.
gonna get pushed.
I'm with you. I need healing.
And 2-tap. Just right click or just normal gun, hipfire gun. Hipfire gun actually does a lot of damage.
Taking to the converge on the objective. Group up with me.
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
Heads up.
There, this is where you die.
Eyes here.
Flashpoint unlocked.
Heads up. I don't think so. Over there.
Well,
Group up.
and is alone. Yep. This is where you like. This is one of the things I really like about the new map. Is it's very dynamic. Meaning you and I thought their team wasn't there. But the tank's dead, and that's what I was attempting to do anyways. The new mode is very dynamic, and it means that people actually have to make intelligent decisions on where they go and when they go there.
Over there. Issuing an alert.
This guy's trying to get me in spawn.
Heads up. Issuing an alert. Enemy here. I need healing.
Like, that extra 90 HP, pretty big deal. Not a big fan of when healers don't top you off. This isn't like World of Warcraft where you have to worry about overhealing. That's the difference between someone dying or not.
Enemy over here. Positioning. Clean kill. En route.
Surprised he didn't actually... Fucking Anna killed her. Him. I'm surprised he didn't go for the med kit outside the door. Oh, 4-stack! I'm sure they would have said their 2 2s, too. Yeah. So anytime you ever mention like the teams because you check, if it's 4 or 5, they'll say they're 2-3 or 2-2, respectively.
Taking off. On the move.
So, in the case of Adderall, people oftentimes hyper tunnel on something, and that means like C9ing. C9ing is still a thing in this game. And the reason it is because people can't always make executive decisions when they're on Adderall, and they'll get hyper focused on one particular area. It's not like you could explain to them any other time of the day that, you know, C9ing matters, right? And they'll be like, yeah, don't C9, right? But C9ing still matters in this game. C9ing still happens in this game because when people are high, like, I don't even know if high is the right word, on like high levels of Adderall, they get hyper focused and then they can't make executive decisions on other parts of the game. I've been a big fan of having like kind of like executive checks in video games since I played Blacklight Retribution like a decade ago. And the reason for that is because whenever you took an objective, it's like playing, I think hardpoint in basically defend and hold, right? There's multiple points on the map. You have to take them and hold them, and you get points acquired for it. But when you got there, if you had the option of hacking the objective, and if you fail the hack, I think it locks you out, and then it takes longer to cap the objective. And if you finish it, you cap it in like a quarter of the amount of time. So it's really, really, really helpful. And all it is it gives you, it was 3 pairs of numbers. You have 2 randomly generated numbers on both sides, and you had to pick which side the number matches to. Very simple, right? But the thing is, when you're under the gun, because it's a highly fast-paced first-person shooter, you're under the gun, picking these number sets is actually extremely stressful because it's not something, like, you have to sit there and think about it. And so what a lot of people would do is they oftentimes wouldn't even do the number sets because they would fail them, and actually, I think it gave an alert, too, when it happened. So it'd fail them and give an alert, so the enemy team would know where you are, so people wouldn't even do them. Another game with cheating in it that I don't think it completely ruined the game, but yeah. Big fan of having executive decision-making in higher process decision-making in video games on fast-paced ones. It definitely seems to be like a form of anti-cheat for people that are on Adderall. Because they can't, depending on the dosage, if their dosage is too high, which it usually is if they're using it for esports purposes, they can't actually switch between tasks. And as such, they just can't manage to think about both C9ing and about, shooting someone at the same time. Which multiple people have. It's like running threads in parallel in your mind. And if you're, like, a normal person, you can usually, multitask between the threads, right? But if you're on Adderall, you just, you zoom in on this, one point, which is really good if you're doing one specific task, but it's not if you're trying to do multiple tasks. So, yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool. That's my going theory. And that map mode, that game mode, the guy said he didn't like it. All these map modes are very linear. You go to the point. You go to the point from the other side. They're straightforward. There's little avenues you can go around the side, but for the most part, you go straight to the point. You will always end up in exactly the same spot. But on Flashpoint or whatever it's called, you can go completely different other parts of the map. You can get sidetracked by enemies. You might end up in the wrong spot at the wrong time. You might get flanked by enemies. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong with your pathfinding. It's like a MOBA. Like Here's the Storm was like that with objectives, which is fantastic in my opinion. Only person I've heard talk about it in that way, by the way. Thought he was gonna go for the med. Sleeps down. Okay. Monkey shield's gone. Trying to pop shot me. Haven't seen any toggles yet. That's pretty impressive. Normally we already have 1 or 3 per match, which is hilarious.
Repulsion. I need healing. I require healing. Covering you. Thank you. Increasing altitude. Enemy over here.
Looking up's another one too. If you're playing here, healer, you have to look around.
Justice reigns from above.
There you go. Save the Bastion. You just leave. He left. Yeah. We're gonna get cheater games here pretty soon, guys. Just hang on. It's very, very rare to have 2 games in a row without cheaters in it. Like Anna's that miss. Incredible.
Hello there. I need healing.
Unexpected flying object
Taking off.
That's not good. That's not good.
Always more to learn.
By the way, these little slats, depending on the kind of aimbot people have. Oh my god. Are you going in or are we not going in? I guess we aren't going in. Got 2 tap. What was that? That was a headshot and something else. Not sure actually what. Something took all my health. I don't know what that was. It wasn't her apparently. She took 1/3 of my health. And out. There we go. Got him.
Where's your jetpack?
Score 1-0.
Nice. But a big fan. You can also design characters around having like multitasking capabilities too. They have some in MOBAs. They don't really have any in this game. There aren't many complicated heroes in this game, despite it being an awful lot like a MOBA.
Just make sure you're shooting
Like
them,
Doomfist.
not me, please.
Well, I'm happy to have
Doomfist is, you know, more technical heroes, right? Doomfist is one, Genji is one. And that it's generally a lot of clicking faces with pixels. Echo and Pharah being more complicated because they have to fly. Line of sight management. Tracer. There's a phase that went through after Doomfist, or was it Bridget came out? Where everyone's like, no, don't make heroes that are like MOBA characters, make heroes that just click faces. You have to click a pixel to be skilled, right? My X key not go off. X, nothing happened, guys. So most modern keyboards have N key rollover, but I swear to God, sometimes it does not feel like they have N key rollover. N key rollovers, you can push as many keys as you want to, and they'll all register. Your USB keyboards do not have it. Sometimes it's based on which keys you're pushing. That's a problem. And my last missile fired, but it got despawned.
Positioning. Aerial positioning.
Not getting heals, guys. For some reason. The Anna particularly refuses to heal me unless I ask for heals. That. Shots.
Eyes here. Enemy over here.
Went off. Did not go off. God, they're all gone too. Horrible timing, guys. Looking at me through the wall. That's not good. Brian's another technical hero, too. This Anna, for some reason, doesn't want to heal me. Brig is healing me, but she's usually in close quarters, so... Good. Much better. Games minus our Reaper. The Reaper did stuff. I don't know what they're talking about. The Reaper actually about break even with their other DPS, but he also has to go in deep. So there's stats that people don't really cover, like not contention, corruption. Your ability to basically disrupt the enemy team. Ball, for instance, is really good at that. Doomfist is good at that. But some enemy heroes are good at that. Sombra is good at that. Basically causing confusion and breaking up lines. Reaper is also good at that. May is good at that too. Maybe. 3 games without cheaters, guys. This is pretty remarkable.
Strike from above. Aerial positioning underway.
What's going on tonight?
You can't touch me. I don't think so.
I give it to both the healer spot.
My rockets are fueled. Increasing altitude. Double. Perfect hit. Double. Dispersing.
Oop.
Over and out.
Night.
Up and away.
Good.
Arriving at Watchpoint Gibraltar. Prepare your defenses. Select your hero.
Why does your face look so familiar?
There's a price on my head in 17 countries. I'm hoping for a new 20.
Yeah, that's it.
Good evening, Ape.
Taking to the air.
Hi, hi.
I'm gonna finish this war.
What was your hometown like, Madison?
Flat, cold, lots of wind.
Not so different from mine.
Are they bonding? Oh. Oh.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Use the rest of my HP. I don't know what the healers are doing. No. Good. Apparently the Bastion snuck in behind us? Was he crouch walking? He just wasn't making sound. The fuck is that? What?
Let's show him some
Okay.
air power.
Enemy here!
Enemy over here. I see an enemy. Enemy over here. En route.
Angle.
Taking off. I don't think so. I see an enemy. Enemy over here.
That's not good.
I'm taking off. Over here. Over here.
An enemy here.
Ah! I knew it had a bubble. I was hoping it wasn't on my face. Not risk it. I was gonna save that for the monkey too. Good.
An enemy! Targeting hostile.
Taking to the air.
Look at that accuracy. That's fantastic. Still trying to shoot people in close quarters too.
Over there. I require
Bad. Fuck is that? RNG lucky?
I don't stay down. Aerial positioning underway.
An enemy here.
Repulsion.
Gotta get 2 directs on him in order to kill him. And I don't even think we could have killed him with 2 directs. He had too much healing. Apparently the poo-poo tree is down. Might have our first winner of the evening, guys. We'll see. You want to see?
Let's show him some air power.
Good. What? I didn't. I was actually killing the monkey. There you go. I think he might have actually been dead. I don't think I needed to do that. Aww. Pretty sure a friend of yours cheating? He wasn't at the beginning of the match. That was about halfway into the P1 push. Fucking shit. Gonna come and try and shoot me in the back, and I'm low on HP. That's why we're down here right now.
I need healing.
Oh, fuck off, dude. Do the same shit. Just jump around the map and run around constantly. Wait for you to turn your back and then shoot you in the back. They'll try and two-tap you, like roll out and two-tap you when you aren't paying attention to them. Know exactly where you are. Such as with Ash or McCree. Oh my god, I didn't hit anyone.
Eyes here.
60 seconds remaining.
Heads up. Understood. Over there.
Watch here.
Taking off.
Oh, you get above me.
Enemy here.
Yeah. Very accurate bashing now. There. Oh, you keep line of sight for long, so long, guys. Good. I think the Bastion's cheating now too. He wasn't at the beginning of the match. Like his aim is literally fucking all over the place. Now he like fucking traces me perfectly. And in his crosshair for some reason. Good. Definitely still cheating. Christ. It's like literally like having an aimbot on constantly. Well, I mean, he does have an aimbot on constantly. Jesus fucking Christ. Gotta do it. Chris is gonna res one of them. She's going for the tank right now. No one interrupt. Oh my god! Soldier interrupted it. Hey! Of course she's going for the tank, guys. Okay, so we're gonna report the soldier, and then we're gonna take a look at the Bastion. Bastion at the beginning of the game match was nothing. It's like halfway into P1, P2. Like I mentioned, beginning of the game, his aim was all over the place. We saw like a kill cam from him, and it literally looked like he's just like spazzing out. Literally missed every fucking missile on these guys when they're in there. We got no limbs from that. Alright, let's take a peek here. Press pretty hard at the end there. Mainly this guy. What do we got? Private. Bastion Chan.
Ready for battle.
Beginning of the match, this wasn't where he was doing very hot. He wasn't doing very well. Ego and Hubris, the origin story of cheaters, guys. Good. His private profile. I wouldn't have changed the way I was reporting him. The reason I report people is based purely on their behavior in the game. Not like acting behavior or character, but rather their interactions. Soldier was private, though. I forgot to put a time frame on Soldier. Soldier, like, none of these guys felt like they're cheating at the beginning. It was Soldier was halfway into the P1 push, and Bastion was halfway into P1, P2. It already looks like he's aiming much better than he was earlier. Oh, I mean, I wrote it out. He has very sticky aim, snaps the model on trigger pull. And he was running around the map using a wall hack to basically catch you with your pants down. Possibly watching the Ana. Usually, like, there'll be they won't track perfectly, and depending on velocity, it'll change things completely. But let's say he's watching me just now.
Surrender to my will.
Basically, I think the monkey was like at like 20% health or something. Game. Possible pre-aim. Oh. So this guy's probably cheating. You can see he's like loosely aiming at people through walls. This is probably one of the better ones we've seen so far. So he didn't have any inferences on me. He can't see my HP bars because he hasn't hurt me yet. But then he looks at my exact position through the spaceship, which is right there. Aim's still not super anything to write home about. Sometimes people have wall hacks on, they don't have the aimbot on.
A sip for the parch.
Reaction. Oh, you can think whatever you want. You don't need to agree with me in any way, shape, or form. Wasn't the beginning of the match that's the problem. It was the end of the match. It's getting towards halfway through and end of the match.
Salutations.
Repairing your cellular makeup.
My ultimate's almost ready.
This is what I saw.
Repairing your cellular makeup.
Looks like he's looking over at the life leader who's now behind a wall. Snapping between players. Soldiers just braining them all. You can feel away whatever way you want. It's not going to stop me from watching people or reporting them. It is very, very, very easy to cheat at video games nowadays. The only thing stopping people is either they don't know how easy it is or they think cheating, you know, fun.
Repulsion.
The reason we're looking at this guy, though, I already reported the soldier. The reason we're looking at this guy is because he's unsure. Not seeing anything super amazing besides occasional wall looks, guys. Aren't direct either. Except for the one where I was on top of the spaceship. If you guys are curious about this, as I mentioned before, this is not like a good angle. What you'll see is sometimes be using this. And the reason I do stuff like this, depending on the aimbot someone has, if they have a shittier or cruder aimbot, which most do, like it's not a bone mesh aimbot, it requires for your head and chest to be exposed in order for it to snap to you, so they can't shoot your lower torso, despite there being almost nothing covering me. You'll see I'll do this in Vegas, too, where the Vegas map, whatever the casino map is, you'll see where with the banister, where I'm sitting above the banister, my legs are dangling, but they can't shoot my legs because basically their aimbot doesn't work. It's actually pretty good cover. Works pretty well. Tried to line and set on the side to get healed. Let's fire a grenade at the Zen. See him over there? It does.
Heroes never die.
I'm a man on a mission. Stay out of my way.
Heroes never die. Angel at your shoulder.
That's what I saw. Does it look like he snapped to the soldier or the Anna behind the wall?
Angel at your shoulder.
Like the Anna after she jumped behind the wall.
Angel at your shoulder.
There.
You're safe with me.
He snaps to the Zarya. There, it's not exactly on the model. It seems like every time he snaps towards someone, it's not specifically on the model, but it's around very, very close to the model. And it looks like it's tracking him right now. Yeah, he's like identically tracking the Zarya at the moment. Yeah, to the point of emergence, which is generally what you see with wall hacks. So like I said, earlier in this game, this guy didn't look super suspicious. The whole reason we're watching is because of the end of the game. When things get a little bit spicier, we saw him snap between targets. Usually when people get heated is at the end of the match too, when stuff's on the line and their blood's pumping. And they want to show them good. There's one more push here. Yeah? Are you guys related to each other? Is it not possible for your teammates to cheat? No, it is possible. It's just we have no inferences on that. Like, I have to go through then and watch every person in the game. I'm a player. I play games. So, at the end of the day, even though we're spending a copious amount of time here, I'm just reporting someone that looks like they're cheating because I don't actually ban people. This is just a report that goes to Blizzard inside a horde of reports that they receive. At the end of the day, I'm not someone that personally bans people. So the amount of effort that I'm going to put in is definitely going to, because I enjoy playing the game more than I enjoy getting people banned, because I don't get any sort of reward for it. There's no indicator, there's no medal. I really wish that it would show you the total number of hours of accounts that have gotten banned due to your reports, and then your percent of your accuracy. I think that'd be super fucking helpful, but of course they don't do that. I was right on top of the soldier. End of the day, you're just another person. This is, like I said, I'm not judge, jury, and executioner. That'd be crazy if I was. So I don't need to be 100%. And even if I was 100%, whether or not I think people are cheating, it doesn't matter. Because I'm not the person getting them banned, and that doesn't mean they're going to get banned. Pops one on top of the soldier's head. False reporting? What are you talking about, false reporting? I don't report people I don't think are cheating. Like, I only report people I think are cheating. That's not false reporting. You guys all have to be related to each other.
Justice reigns from above. Move.
Guy has relatively poor reaction time too on top of it, which also is making things hard to see. Good. Oh, is it? Have you watched me multiple times? I thought you're new. Oh, I don't. I literally just talked about how it's when people are behind walls. Like, part of playing fair at high MMR is literally playing line of sight. It's not always hitting direct shots. It's limiting line of sight. Like, I literally mentioned this an hour ago. Alright. And Bastion. Yeah. Game. Yeah, you getting that? They definitely, it seems like they're from wherever these guys came from. There's, I think, 3 of them. They all do the same shit, and they usually jack off on top of each other when they show up. So, yeah. How many do I report per night? A lot. It's usually 1 to 3. We had 3 games tonight in which I reported no one. And I said it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous considering what the game was. Never used to be this bad. Back in Overwatch 1, it was maybe 1 to 2 every 3 games, I would say. And now it's 1 to 3 per game. Ish. Depends. Sometimes we get 0. It's pretty rare, though. And then occasionally you'll get cheat lobbies, which are entire groups of people that cheat together. They make burner accounts, they group together and cheat. 2 days ago, I ran into a 4-Zim squad. There's a 4-Zim squad with a single PC player to get them into PC lobbies so they could show off their Zims. Or, I mean, just their console aim. So. good. Well, I mean, putting aside the fact that there's no way to prove that, yeah, congratulations. Yeah, so if you're curious, so you shouldn't be commenting at all on me talking about cheating if you've never looked for cheats in your life. If you have not typed Overwatch cheats into Google, you shouldn't be talking at all to me. Like, at all. It is extremely, extremely easy to cheat in this game. And putting aside there's cheats that are next to impossible to catch, it's extremely easy to cheat in a lot of games nowadays.
Stay close.
That's just the way it goes. Type Overwatch cheats into Google right now. Go educate yourself, and then come back here. It's kind of weird, but there's a lot of people that never have looked for cheats in their life that seem to have, like, the inside knowledge. They are the know on cheating. I think a lot of it has to do with people not talking about cheating. And as such, they don't know what to look for, and they just think if someone's being reported for cheating, obviously the other person's sour. It's the same shit you've heard for thousands of years. This is one of the cheaters we play against. Oh, are you guys? Oh, are you part of the cheater squad? Oh, so we got a shipbird squad that chases me around, and they play against me. I think we got 2 of them banned already. And they came in here like what, like last week, and they're shit talking. I banned them. And now we got 1 in our game after this started in chat. That's pretty incredible. No way. Huh? You fucking left too! Wow! Like, I just fucking mentioned that and he's already out of the game. That's pretty neat. The Zen go.
I will not waste this opportunity. Affirmative.
Huh. Alright. That's we got some weird coincidences going on here, guys. Dead. Right.
Yes.
Good. That's a weird one, guys. Literally just mentioned that guy's associated with the shitbird squad that fucks around with me. Oh, we can't make it. That's actually a good spot. Dude, no one's pushing the cart. Okay. Shoot down. For Z-axis. Good.
Nominal.
Heroes never die.
There's a way to check. You can't really check if people have been banned.
Over here. Like justice rains from above. Aerial positioning. Enemy over here. Over there. Appreciate it. Yes.
Ever since, like, I think it's Overwatch 2 release, they fucked up the boops. They made it so much harder to boop people now. People will just skid along the edge. It's like they have training guards on everything. Like railings are just stuck to everything. You slide along the edge instead of getting pushed off, regardless of the boop or the angle of the boop. Pootry. Well, that sucks. On the bob, guys.
Do something. Repositioning.
The payload is tied up.
Enemy over here.
Oh, no! Oh, he wasted beat. The ideal position there was to get both Lucio and the tank, and that didn't happen. Very, very accurate. Again. Look at this guy we reported earlier. Yeah. Monster healer. That is the guy we reported earlier, guys. Yeah.
Increasing altitude. I am empowered.
That's not good. Tank went too deep when the team wasn't around. Good. Good and good. Alright, let's take a look at the soldier. Oh, you won! Yeah, that has nothing to do with people cheating. You can actually lose and cheat too, as it kind of turns out, and you aren't always amazing when you cheat, because people aren't always amazing. Don't forget to thank your healer! You got healed out of that game too. Alright. This guy bailed. Bastion. And so probably Zim players? The only reason we don't look at people on the team is because I don't have any inferences. I have nothing to go off of as far as where to look in the match. GM. Nothing to go off of in the match, and as such it leads down a rabbit hole just looking at everyone and wasting a shitload of time. So, and draw the line at teammates, and if they're on the enemy team, then we look at them. And again, there's also some people you can see in the kill cam, like in the Pachi kill cam, they're clearly cheating, like very obvious cheaters. This guy Guy bailed. As we were talking about him. Bailed out of the match. Yeah. I'm also kind of curious, you can usually see people's origin stories, which is when their life before they acquired their gaming chair. Yeah. Sometimes it's a very stark contrast, like silver to masters or something like that. Or when they bought the account, either or. Alright, let's take a look here.
Ready for battle. Objective lost.
Not base per season correlation. It's nothing to do with one particular season.
Stop the payload.
That was season 2 too. Season 4, which was where things bloated. Oh. We do look at a lot of accounts. We do. Draw all the parallels you want.
Let's go.
So, I think we just saw the guy's aimbot take over the moment the Doomfist jumped in front of him. Yeah. So what you're seeing right here, it looks like a good swipe, but what you're seeing here is, depending on the aimbot, when you start shooting someone, if someone walks in front of your line of sight, it will actually take over the aim and snap to the new player. So what you'll see is when people are cheating, if someone walks in front of their beam, despite who they might be firing at, it'll instantly snap to them. Almost instantly snap to them. That right there.
They can't get away with this. Hey.
Watching Doomfist through the wall just now.
Hey.
So I believe last time we didn't even look at the... Yeah, so he's definitely looking at the Doomfist right now. Yeah. So the last time I believe we didn't even look at this guy's replay because it was very obvious. He had a pretty good team, so the majority of the team was suppressed the entire game. Get a lot of kill cam footage. Oh, you just fucked dumbass! Yeah, except it's exactly at the same moment when the guy walks in front of his aim. Yeah.
I've seen tougher spots.
Once again, it's not one thing. The reason we look through the whole video is because we look for multiple things, which I then add to my replay. My report. Feels an awful lot like you might have an ulterior motive in here. I'm not exactly sure.
I've seen tougher spots.
Never seen that before.
That's not right.
Okay. Cool. I don't know who that is. Like, I know who Aspen is. I don't know who I reported. I don't think I play with Aspen ever. So.
Who needs healing?
Cool. Are you just like throwing out random allegations just to like try and discredit me? Putting aside, there is definitely monetary reward to stream and cheat. There is a lot of monetary reward to stream and cheat, and there are a lot of people on Twitch that stream and cheat. You can catch them looking at people through walls. Yeah. There's actually, it's called a category of cheats calling stream safe cheats, if you're curious about that. Look at their account. I definitely have not reported Aspen. Maybe an alt? You're welcome to tell me the name of the alt that I reported. That was their alt. You already have. Yeah. You're like a top 500 anime villain. Yes, although they're uncommon. They're uncommon nowadays. That happened after the launch of Overwatch 2. They don't give you reports anymore for people getting banned. But yes, I've gotten them.
A little care always helps.
Reports that we generally get is we never see people ever again. And the people that I do see on a repeated occasion, I end up putting in my block list so I can tell when they get banned and if they make a new account. And they show up again with basically a brand new account with the same username. Because their BattleNet tag is different. Which we've already seen happen, so. Yeah. Oh yeah? I bet you do. I bet you do. I get them all the time! Yeah, I bet you do. You can literally find that reports for that on the forum, like people talking about on the forums. You 100% are here with that other guy, and you're probably one of the 2 fucks that I banned the other day. That's my going, because you had a bone to pick with me. Very obvious. The only reason you're still in the game, still in the chat right now, is because I'm humoring you. Casually looking at people through walls.
Up and at 'em.
Forums bullshit. Oh yeah? Yeah, are we just gonna have misinformation here? Just everything's bullshit because it doesn't match your story? Okay. Like, so the kind of angle that I'm getting here is, I either reported you got you banned, there's that one, who is that, Luna, I think her name is? Who keeps, always just has a bone to pick with me, because I'm pretty sure I got her boyfriend banned, that was probably about 4 months ago. I got him banned multiple times, he kept coming back, buying new accounts, and then name changing them back to his old name. And we kept blocking him and getting him banned. It's like Apollo, I think? It was a generic name of some kind. And he kept getting banned, and she got super pissed off about it. Once again, me reporting people doesn't get them banned. Blizzard looks at them, sees if they're cheating, and then bans them. Oh, I know Apollo! I bet you do.
Appreciate it.
It's glancing at the vicinity of people, like in the exact area that people are, because there's no one there. You do not cover angles by looking at walls, dude. This is like gaming 101. Is you don't cover angles by staring at a wall. That's not the way games work. You don't get to see through walls just by looking at them. The best you can do is hear sound, but they're too far away to actually hear sound. Right before Bastion ult, I believe. Not that it matters. Like, it doesn't matter if we go back through the footage and look at it. You'll just go, nah, anyways. Oh, I didn't see that. For Bastion ult is then. Ben again, which is what he's looking at right now. So he could be looking at the cart, he wasn't. He could be looking at the diva, he wasn't. He was looking at Zen. He was right here, angle's right there, angle's right there. He's staring at Zen through the wall. He's not looking at either angle, or the cart, or the diva. You're gonna get banned for false reporting? Okay, dude. I think, like, I actually go to my way to justify why I make every report. Putting aside the ones that go through the footage, there's usually a time, the type of cheat that I think it is, the behavior that I see, and I'll do it in each report. Have you ever seen people report people in this game? They literally click the button, and that's it. Or they type 2 words like, this guy sucks, into the report box. Yeah. You can fucking fearmonger all you want. I've been reporting people since Overwatch 1, dude.
Fire.
You're like, Yeah. No. Well past that point.
I'm on fire.
Line of sight. Well, you'll oftentimes see too, guys. So remember earlier how I was talking about on Casino, how if you obscure your head and chest, they can't lock onto you? It depends on what part of your body's obscured. So even if you have part of your body sticking out, depending on where the lock point is, they can't shoot you. Even if normally a player with good aim would be able to shoot you, they can't. Depends on the kind of cheat they're using once again.
That's better.
Real juicy ones are where you get a direct lock through the wall. That's a good one. Casually trying to shoot the Doomfist through the wall.
Meteor strike.
Watching Bastion. Tapping between targets. That was a Zen again? I don't know why he hates Zen so much. Zen-chan, guys. Doomfist, then Bastion. There's the Zen. Like it was going to Doomfist, and now it's on Bastion. And with aimbots, oftentimes there's humanization. Really, really bad aimbotters don't use humanization. Even though almost every cheat has humanization built in now. Which is basically lock distance, time to flick. Notice how he can't fucking shoot me? Remember we talked about the casino example, guys? And while this is just a thin little area, he can't fucking shoot me out. Like, normally you'd shoot the bottom, right? He's not. You just shoot at the bottom. But the moment that my head and chest go above it, or maybe my chest area goes above the, like, stomach or torso, goes above the little block here, he can't shoot me anymore.
Here they come. I'm with you.
Yeah? Despite the fact that I'm putting out gaslighting, guys, I spent 2 fucking years playing Dead by Daylight where survivors constantly gaslight you when you win. They constantly gaslight you. If you think you can fucking sit and chat, you can sit and chat and gaslight me and it's gonna work. Oh, please, dude. Hey, Idwin. Good evening, dude.
Never leave a teammate behind.
My guess is Frostal's a chick, and EK is doing her bidding, is my guess. Which is probably the 2 guys we banned last week. They came back and made new accounts. Last week? Like 5 days ago? Honestly, making this take a lot more time than it should. Hey, like, I even point out, like, this stuff I'm seeing, and then you guys just don't go, like, nuh-uh. They aren't like, you aren't like, hey, no, we didn't see that just now. Like, you just segue into something else. Yeah. Oh, we have an ulterior motive? Hey, we figured it out, guys. We found the motive. We found the motive. Looking at Zen again. Once again, this guy has a bone to pick with the Zen. Look at this. So we've seen probably 3 or 4 times where he's looked at the Zen through the wall. There. Now. Again. It'd be different, you know, if it's like one, it's like an off going around the side of the corner. Yeah. Ulterior motive acquired. Oh, that's good. No idea how you found my channel, because I don't stream on Twitch anymore. That's interesting.
I'll try to repay the favor.
Curious. Like, I'm not big enough to generate publicity.
60 seconds.
I don't care how long you've been playing over. That literally means nothing to me. Like, you could say what you want, you can buy a new account, it doesn't even matter anymore. There's nothing that can actually prove that. Not that it even matters in the first place. Like, your authority based on a preconceived notion about time people play absolutely means nothing as to why I'm reporting people. Your rank, anything that shows up in your profile, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's not why I report people. Occasionally we'll do things like look and compare accuracy in profile. Or look for an origin story. But otherwise, no. So we're going to report this guy again. Whether or not this is the guy in chat, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Look on your account, dude. Sure, since you're not cheating, it's not going to matter, though. Yeah. Rank inflation. Flat in a former life. Right. Check prior. I don't know what you're talking about. Check the person. Okay. Well, you don't need to agree with me. No one needs to agree with me. I'm reporting you because I think the person in the game's cheating. That's why I reported them. We went through the footage, looked at the footage, saw him snapping to people behind walls multiple times. Zen, he had a bone to pick with for some strange reason. Sometimes aimbots are weird and will lock onto weird shit. My favorite one is, if you're looking for people that just accidentally snap to players, is Antarctic. If you ever play Antarctic, cheaters will oftentimes come into a spawn, do stupid shit like punch the ground or spray constantly at the ground, because they don't know how to set up their aimbot properly, and it snaps to players behind walls. And they know that, so what they'll do coming out of the spawns, where you know you have the giant little basin in the center area, when they're coming out of spawns basically looking down there, they'll just constantly spray the ground until they come around the corner, so they don't accidentally snap to people behind walls. Okay. There definitely isn't any sort of ulterior motive here, especially if you're cheating, to pretend that you're not cheating, so, yeah. Or defend yourself. It doesn't matter. But we're going to call things here for this evening, guys. Origin story unlocked. We figured out where he came from. Which probably means someone in my chat told you what I was doing, and that's why you showed up in chat. Which is curious in and of itself. So. That explains a lot. We're out of here for this evening, guys. If you're new to the stream, you enjoyed the bullshit, you enjoyed the fun, you enjoyed all the supposed alleged copium, make sure to hit the follow button on your select platform. I stream to Kick, Facebook, as well as YouTube Live every day from late night to early morning in GMT-6, so about 11 p.m. Central Standard Time to 4 a.m. Give or take, it depends what's going on in my life, what's happening, etc., guys. We're out of here for this evening, guys. Tomorrow will be more of the OW2s. We will be playing Starfield on Thursday, I think it is. Whatever, I think it's the 5th or the 6th. Starfield's coming out to the plebs. Pay $10, play it for a month. Good to go. Yeah. Alrighty. Yep. You got it, dude. We're out of here for this evening, guys. Just hit me where it hurts. Just keep going, and maybe I'll take back that maybe I won't report that person. Yeah, you'll get me good. Alrighty, guys. We're out here for this evening, guys. Thanks for watching the stream as always, and I hope you guys have a wonderfully fantastic Friday night and Saturday morning. Have a good day, guys.